Vi, the Piltover enforcer. Vi remembers little of her childhood in Zaun, and what she does remember, she wishes she didn't. Running with the Snipe gangs, she quickly learned to use her wits, as well as her fists, to survive. Everyone who encountered Vi knew she could talk, or punch, her way out of trouble. More often than not, she chose the latter. None of the old-timers from her youth could tell her anything of her parents. Most assumed they had died in one of the industrial accidents that were, sadly, all too common in the Undercity. Though she had ended up in the crumbling Hope House orphanage, a notoriously mad scrapper claimed to have found her adrift in a bassinet large enough for two in the ruins of a collapsed chem lab. In the end, Vi figured some things were best left unknown. With her wild pink hair, she became a distinctive sight on the streets of Zaun, hightailing from angry shopkeepers in the boundary markets, swaggering through the colorful bazaars of the Black Lanes, or hitching rides up into Piltover aboard the hexdraulic conveyors. Wherever there was a scrape to be gotten into or a scam to be run, Vi was in the thick of it, though she never stole from those that couldn't cover the loss, and never hurt those that didn't deserve it. As she got older, the capers of childhood became more audacious and daring, and Vi formed a gang of her own. Brash and quick to anger, she still relied on her fists a little too much, and was rarely without a black eye or split lip. She found a mentor in the owner of a bar on the edge of the lanes, who tempered some of her more self-destructive tendencies. He tried to reinforce her moral code, and showed her how to fight with discipline, as well as teaching her ways to better direct her simmering anger. In time, Vi earned a reputation as someone who got things done, no questions asked. Listening to the chatter of the Zaunite miners who frequented the bar, she came to learn when big deals were being made, and how payments were to be delivered. To a chem baron, this was chump change, but to her and her friends, it would be a fortune. She planned a heist, but knew it would require extra bodies to pull off, so Vi reluctantly brought a rival gang, the Factory Wood Fiends, in on her score. Everything was going fine, until the leader of the Fiends killed the mine owner with a pair of oversized pulverizer gauntlets, and trapped the rest of the workers in the tunnels. Even as both gangs fled with the loot, Vi knew she could not leave these innocent people to die. She snatched up the gauntlets, the wrist mechanisms clamping down painfully on her arms, but she endured the agony long enough to smash open a path to free the miners. The following day, Vi paid a visit to the Factory Wood Fiends. Still wearing the powered gauntlets, she took on the entire gang, administering a beating so legendary that it is still spoken of in the lanes to this day. Vi eventually disappeared from Zaun during a time of great upheaval, when tensions with Piltover were running high. Rumors circulated between the gangs that she had been killed in a huge explosion in the heart of the Undercity, or that she had turned her back on her friends and struck out for distant lands. The truth, however, finally came to light when Old Hungry Scars, a vicious gang whose murder sprees had spread topside, were brought down by a respected sheriff of Piltover and her new ally, Vi. The former gang leader was now in the employ of the wardens, and she had replaced the chem-powered pulverizer gauntlets with a pair of brand-new Hextech Atlas prototypes. No one yet knows the exact reason why or how Vi came to be working alongside Caitlin, but given the anarchic nature of the crime wave now sweeping Piltover, speculation runs rife that it might involve a certain blue-haired hellion from Zaun. Interrogation 101. Vi stifled a yawn as she moved through the gilded chamber at the heart of Piltover's Hall of Law. Dawn was less than an hour old, and the place was quiet. A few drunks were sleeping it off in the shaming cells, and she'd heard there were a couple of chem-augmented thugs in the deeper, more secure lockups. She'd ask around later, see if she could provide any insight as to what they were doing up in Piltover. She rolled her shoulders, the muscles there stiff after a hard night's work. It had been a long shift, and her forearms were aching from the pressure of her powered gauntlets. All she wanted to do was go back home, get them off, and bathe her fists in ice water. Maybe throw back a few glasses of something strong and sleep some, but the Nuema tube from Caitlin had been full of imperatives about getting herself down to the district house on the double. Vi had cocked an eyebrow, tossed the message and given it an hour before leaving her cramped home in the dressmaker's quarter to answer Caitlin's summons. Hey, Harknor, she said to the desk warden when she reached the cells. What's so important Caitlin has to drag me from an erotic dream about? Stop right there, said Harknor without looking up from his elevated desk as he ran a finger down the list of prisoners brought in during the night. I'm not in the mood to hear another of your lurid fantasies. You sure? Grinned Vi, leaning on his desk and blowing a loose strand of pink hair from her eyes. This was a good one. Had a plot and everything. Quite sure, said Harknor, looking away and holding out the charge sheet. Caitlin and Mohan brought in a Hextech thief last night. He hasn't said a word to anyone, but she thinks you might be able to get him to talk. Vi arched an eyebrow as she scanned the page. Devki. You've been a very naughty boy, she said, rolling her eyes and curling her metalled fingers into a fist. Yeah, Devki and I knew each other back in the day. I'll get him to talk. Harknor shook his head, saying, Listen, Vi, I don't want to have to call the surgeon back here again. Caitlin wants this fella to able to speak when he goes before the procurator. Where is she anyway? Asked Vi. She isn't even here to say hello. Chasing down a lead at the docks, said Harknor. Said she figured you could handle this one on your own. She wrong about that? Nope, said Vi, turning and sashaying toward the cells. Which cell's Devki in? Number 6. But remember, he's got to be able to talk. Vi nodded and said, yeah. She reached cell 6 and slid back the locking bar. Normally, another warden would secure the door, but Vi didn't need anyone at her back. She knew Devki from the old days, even worked with him a few times before the job with the factory wood fiends went bad. Devki was a thief, not a fighter, and if she needed backup to restrain his scrawny frame, then it was time to find a new line of work. Devki was sitting on the edge of the chipped hunk of stone they called a bed with his back to the wall and his knees drawn up to his chest. He cradled one arm close to his body, the limb ending at a bandaged stump where his hand ought to be. He looked up as she entered, and his eyes widened in surprise. Vi. Piltover's finest, she said with a petite curtsy that, despite where he sat, made Devki smile. What happened to your hand? Your damn sheriff shot it off, he said. What happened to yours? I got an upgrade, said Vi, holding up her Hextech gauntlets. They hummed with a low buzz and she turned them around to let Devki see just how powerful they were. Fully customizable with variant levels of hurt. I can punch through walls with these babies. Yeah, I heard what happened to the ecliptic vaults, said Devki with an easy smile, as if he was talking to the old Vi, the Vi from the lanes. He wasn't bright enough to know that Vi wasn't the one standing in front of him. Devki held up the arm ending in a stump. I'm gonna need an upgrade too. This was a high-end augment from Bronzios. That sheriff didn't need to shoot it off. You can bill her, said Vi, closing the distance between them in 2 strides and lifting Devki off his feet. She threw him against the opposite wall, rattling his bones and sending plaster dust billowing into the air. Devki slid to the floor, shocked and gasping for breath. They've been playing nice so far, but now they send you in. What gives? I'm the one they send in when asking all polite doesn't get you anywhere cupcake, said Vi, letting the power build in her gauntlets. I'm the one who'll go to town on you with these beauties. Unless, of course, you tell me what I want to know. Whoa, wait. Vi, what are you doing? Spluttered Devki, holding his remaining hand out before him as he scrambled to his feet. I'm interrogating you, what's it look like? But you haven't asked me anything. Vi cocked her head to the side. Yeah, I should probably get on that. She reached down and hauled Devki to his feet, applying a growing pressure to his shoulder. So, who was gonna buy that stolen Hextech? Devki winced in pain, but didn't answer. Come on, you're tougher than that, said Vi, releasing his bruised shoulder. You want to see what happens to a face when I don't pull my punches? No, cried Devki. Then tell me what I want to know. I can't. Vi tapped a finger on her chin, as if weighing whether to punch him again. She smiled, the expression worrying Devki more than the thought of her fists. Be a shame if word got round the lanes that you've been informing on all your criminal friends for the last couple of years. What? Said Devki, spluttering in pain and indignation. That's a lie. Of course it is, said Vi, but I know all the right people to talk to down there. A lot of folk'll listen if I let it slip that you're in the warden's pocket. I'll be dead in a day if you do that, protested Devki. Now you're catching on, said Vi. Tell me what I want to know. I'll make sure it gets about you resisted arrest. Even give you a black eye so it looks like I beat it out of you. Devki's shoulders slumped, knowing he had no defiance left in him. Fine, I'll tell you what you want to know. Excellent, said Vi, now we're getting somewhere.
Thanks for watching. Keep enjoying our videos. Like and subscribe.